topic 3 we're going to revisit in class a lot during this unit, but we're going to talk about angle puzzles. And so rather than having specific types of examples, what I want you to remember for topic 3 is the different strategies and hints that I've given you to solve these. So a very common strategy that's going to show up in an angle puzzle is that all angles in a triangle add up to 180, which we know from previous units and a lot of examples that we have done. So in this picture here, in triangle EAT, right, I have a 90-degree angle, a 37-degree angle, and the one angle that's unknown. So I can take 90 plus 37, the two angles that I have, find their sum, which is 127, take that sum and take it away from 180, and 180 minus 127, I believe, gets me 53. Yeah, that's right, 53. So that means that third angle is 53 degrees. Okay? The other hint and strategy that I want you to use is that angles that form a line add up to 180. Really, we're looking at the straight angles that you have in your pictures. Okay? So if I'm looking at this picture here, this is my straight angle. So these two angles together, x and 143, add up to 180. So I can do 180 minus 143, and that gets me 37. So that means angle x had to be 37. Okay? The other thing that's going to show up a little less frequently is angle relationships that are made by parallel lines, okay? So remember, we had alternate interior, those were congruent, right? Alternate exterior were also congruent, corresponding were congruent, and then same side interior and same side exterior were both supplementary, which meant they added to 180, okay? So this is a very common example that we did in Unit 1. Remember that we have angles formed by an x. Those are vertical angles. So those will each be 111, okay? And then these other angles here, those two are congruent. Those are going to be 69, and I found that by doing 180 minus 111, okay? Those two angles there, the green and the blue, the green and the orange, form a straight angle. So when I do 180 minus 111, I get 69, okay? And then the fact that I have parallel lines right here means that corresponding angles are congruent. So this group of 4 up here is going to match exactly this group of 4 down here. So I know that these two angles here are 111, and these two angles here are 69 and 69, okay? So those are 3 strategies that are going to help me when I'm solving for angle puzzles. Okay, so let's look at some examples. And the directions tell me in the following, find the measure of all missing angles. So you have to be able to look at a picture and sometimes see, okay, well, what are the missing angles, and then how do I find them? So looking at this first picture here, I see a missing angle right here. I'm going to call that x. And I see another missing angle over here. I'm going to call that y. Okay? I need to figure out which I want to start with first, all right? If I want to start with y first, the only way to figure out y would be to use this triangle. I don't have enough information to start with y first because in a triangle, I know all 3 angles add up to 180, but I only know one of them. I don't know the other. So this is an example where I have to start with finding x first. Okay? Well, what do I know about x? I know that x and 135 form a line. And that's a straight angle. A straight angle measures 180, so I can do 180 minus 135, and that's 45. So that means angle x is 45 degrees. Now, how does that help me? Because now when I look at the triangle again, I now know 2 of the angles, 45 and 70, and I can do 45 plus 70. That gets me 135. Oh, excuse me, that was wrong. 115. and then do 180 minus 115, and that gets me 65, right? All three angles had to add up to 180, and so my last angle is 65, okay? Let's look at number 2. So number 2, I see a bunch of triangles in here. I see a small one here, I see a small one on the left, and then I see a big one as the full picture there. And my missing angles are X, Y, and Z. And I have to figure out where to start. I think I'm actually going to start with X, all right? Because I'm looking at this triangle on the right or the bottom, and I know 2 of those angles, and I have 1 missing, so I can find the third. So I can do 71 plus 57, add the 2 together. 71 plus 57, I believe, is 128. All 3 angles have to add to 180. 180 minus 128 gets me 52, I think. So X had to be 52. Okay, sorry for my handwriting. It's pretty bad right now. All right, now let's look at Y and Z. In this case, I'm actually definitely going to solve for Y next, because if I look at this triangle here, I can't find Z until I find Y. Z depends on Y. So looking at Y, I know that Y is lying on a straight line and forming a straight angle with 57. So I can take 180, that's my straight angle, take away the 57, and that should get me, I believe, 123. So Y had to be 123. And now I can use my other triangle. I know 2 of the angles. I can find the third. So I'm going to do 123 plus 28. I believe that gets me 151. Hopefully I'm not wrong there. Take 180, subtract it from 151, and I get 29. So that means that Z had to be 29, and I'm done. Okay? If you would like to at this point, feel free to pause the video and try numbers 3 and 4 on your own, okay? But I am definitely going to go over them with you, all right? So looking at example 3, sometimes it might be helpful to find angles that I'm not actually asking for. So even though I'm asking for X, Y, and Z, it might be helpful to find the angles that are in here or somewhere else in the picture, okay? But I think we can start with X here, because I see, even though looks like a rectangle, I see this triangle in half of the rectangle. I know this angle is 38, this angle is 90. I can find that third angle. 90 plus 38, that gets me 128. And take 180, and let's take away 128. And I believe that should be 52. Okay? So that meant X was 52. All right, let's look at Y. I should be able to figure out Y here. Again, I have a triangle, right? 90 and 52 are my 2 sides, on my 2 angles, and I'm missing the third angle there. So let's add them together and subtract. So 90 plus 52, I believe that is 142, and then I'm going to do 180 minus 142, and that gets me 38. Oh, whoa, notice the angles in this green triangle here were exactly the same as the angles in my blue triangle, okay? And if you notice that right away and you didn't need to go through this workup here, props to you, all right? Last but not least, let's find Z, okay? Now, I'm going to look at this orange triangle here. I haven't found these 2 angles. By all means, we could go and we could find them, right? But there's a little bit of a shortcut. Rather than using the triangle, I'm actually going to use this angle right here. We know that entire angle is 90 degrees. The part of it in green that I have is 38. Z represents the rest of it, right? So instead of doing the triangle trick that we've been using a lot, I'm just going to do 90 minus 38. And I think that gives me 52. So this angle here had to be 52 degrees. So Z was 52, Y was 38, and X was 52. All right? Last but not least, let's find X and Y in this picture. All right? So notice these two arrows in number 4 mean that I have parallel lines, so we're going to use our relationships that we have. I have one line here, I'm going to extend them, that's always a good strategy to use, and a second line here. And then this line that's cutting through both of those lines diagonally, that's going to be our transversal, okay? So two things that I can notice here, X and 39, those are alternate interior. We know alternate interior angles are congruent, so boom, X right away is 39 degrees, okay? I'm going to find different angles here. I'm going to look at, instead of the red group, I'm going to look at the blue line. So this line here and this line here cut by this transversal going up and down. Okay, let's look at the blue lines. This angle here is 90. How does it relate to this full angle here? Those are same side interior, same side sup, which means both of those have to be 90 because 90 plus 90 is 180. That helps me now because I know, looking at the picture, that 39 plus whatever y is has to equal 90. So I can do 90 minus 39, and I believe I get 51. So y had to be 51, and x was 39. Okay? So I know that kind of feels all over the place, but as we work throughout this unit, we're just going to do more and more practice examples, all right? So hang tight, and we'll see you in class.